Hello, Mr. Huxtable. Hello, good fair listeners of Apple and Spotify and the virtual world out there.
Spotify. Is that a new streaming service, Spotify? Anyway, if you're from Spotify,
all right, shut
welcome to.
Right, anyway, proper start now again. Hello out there. Welcome to Customer Experience R&R with my good self, Richard Knight.
And me, Rhian Huxtable.
And him, Rhian Huxtable. Rhian, how are you today? We're in February, middle of February. So our latest episode is going out. How are you feeling about 2022?
Well, do you know what, Rich? I started the year with high hopes.
Yeah.
That all of the horrendous client experience and customer service we saw in 2021 was going to get better. But I have to say, KLM and Benson for Beds have proven me wrong.
Oh, throw EDF in on that one as well, if you like.
Not that paragon of customer experience, PDF or
yes. EDF. EDF. So yeah, this is not a good start to the year in terms of your experiences that have been going on so far. So what are we going to do this episode is just to give everybody out there some idea about the little bits, and I'm sure all these stories that Rhian's going to talk to us about, like a whingy old man that he is, will probably resonate with you, unfortunately. But we've got a few ideas that might better help out, particularly in your businesses, because you can do something about this sort of stuff, or not even make the same mistakes. So hence the reason why we're warbling in a little bit of a developmental way, shall we say, today?
Yeah. Or we're just having a good moan. But anyway,
he's nothing better than a good old moan.
Warbly moaning. No, but all joking aside, there is a serious point to this. We at Insight 6 have a huge fear that businesses and, more importantly, customers, because of everything we've been through in the last 2 years, have been browbeaten into accepting just awful experience to the extent where it's become rude. And we're entitling this session Right to the CEO because, the reality of life is the man or the woman at the top doesn't understand what their customers are feeling and delivering at the coalface. They should do, of course. Then they've got a problem. And the businesses we're going to talk about today, not exclusively, by the way, unfortunately, these businesses have bumped into both Rich and I in the last couple of months. But we know there are others out there doing equally as bad a job. But Rich is also going to share a story that gives us hope, gives us hopium. That's 2022 hopium, that drug we all love, to hold on to, the hope that things are going to get better. So,
absolutely.
Rich,
Go on then.
I'm going to start with my story of woe about trying to go away on holiday. Now, that's a real first world problem, and I won't get
Hang on. I've just turned the violins on, just to...
Yeah, it's a real first world problem to have, but millions of hard-working Brits have had to postpone holidays, haven't they? They've had to postpone them God knows how many times. And this particular holiday that we are getting away on next week, actually, half term, is the 5th time that this holiday's been moved. So we're off to France to do a bit of the old gliding down the pistes, and that could be on skis or after a few drinks, to be frank. However, might be cider, hopefully. The point here is that we were going to go at Christmas, couldn't go. Mr. Macron stopped the Brits going to France. He upset all the ski resorts because we couldn't go and spend our money. And now we moved everything to half term, and everybody was brilliant. So the hotel were brilliant in France, the ski lesson people, the ESF were brilliant, the Alpibus people were brilliant, all except the airline.
Oops.
Now, answers on a postcard. What airline do you think this could be, Rich? Because they've all got an amazing record with customer service over the
well, it could be a number of them. I mean, you actually said who it was at the beginning of this session, so
I did. So if you were listening, you'll know.
KLM. Was it KLM?
It was KLM. Well done, you were listening.
Okay.
However, we booked our tickets through Budget Air, who are an agent, and Budget Air we could not get hold of during December. They weren't answering emails, they weren't answering their phone, they weren't answering any social media. Their web forms weren't being replied to, and we couldn't get hold of them to move the flights. So we then rang KLM and they said, yeah, no problem, Mr. Huxtable, ring us on the 27th of December, the day before you're supposed to go. And I was a little bit skeptical, to be honest, Rich. I was thinking, okay. Reason being, they told me that the money is released from the agent to them and they've been paid for the flights for that point. 3 people I rang on the 27th. Computer says, no, it's an agent. You got to go back to the agent. I explained I couldn't speak to the agent a number of times. I couldn't ring the agent a number of times. I couldn't email the agent a number of times because when I phoned the number they gave me, it went dead. So imagine my predicament as the client, having handed over £1,500 to our Dutch friends. They wouldn't speak to me about it. However, my faith was renewed when I got back home that evening, rang them for a 4th time, and a lovely lady moved the flights to the 22nd of February. Imagine my surprise then when last week I went in to download the tickets and to find out that the portal was no longer and that my booking reference didn't exist. So I got on the phone to them again. She had sent me 7 of the 8 tickets as well, so I had some examples of the tickets that we were going to use to fly from Bristol, and spoke to 3 people. All were equally as rude. Told me it was nothing to do with them. Those tickets weren't related to any flight whatsoever. And if you turn up to Bristol on the 22nd, Mr. Huxtable, you won't be able to get on the plane with those tickets. Now, there's one small flaw in their argument here. £1,472 of my money. That's the flaw in the argument. So unfortunately, they won't talk to us about it. So we've had to go back to the credit card company, get a chargeback done, but which they're in the process of doing at the minute. But I'm sure many of our listeners will have experienced something similar, where there's no phone number, no one's responding to any issues. You are stressed about going all the COVID. We were with all the COVID restrictions and so on. And it's been hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
And KLM aren't interested. They're not interested.
It's a really interesting one, isn't it? In terms of that journey that you've got to go on. Clearly, nobody's mapped that, have they? Yeah, they've got one agency thinking one thing, one agency thinking another. The flight, there is no joined up thinking around that, about actually sitting down and going, okay, what happens if a customer gets bounced here or there or anything else, which is one of the key things, because we've all got to actually sit back and think about the mapping. The amazing thing that I find absolutely incredible, but unfortunately I concur, is when you're given a number to phone and you've dialed that number and it says this number is no longer functioning, or it just is a dead tone on the phone. Absolutely unacceptable in every way, shape or form. Yeah.
And the comment I forgot to share was when I phoned the 3rd operator to sort this out. He gave me the same number again, and I said to him, this number doesn't work for this agent. He said, well, you'll just have to Google it then, won't you? So it wasn't. It hasn't been a great experience, and at the moment we are down £1,500, and the credit card is working hard to get it back. The challenge, of course, is that the flight went. We could go on it, but no matter how many times we tried to move it, change it, we weren't able to do that. So the cynical side of me says there was no way they wanted to talk to us, because they just wanted
they got the money. And unfortunately it's more and more the case, isn't it? More and more the case. I think my similar experience around with EDF in terms of trying to get some money back that we had in credit from our old supplier. So we unfortunately had the problem of utility point going bust. We were part of that setup, so we had to be shifted. It's a long story. The basics of it are, 5 months ago they said, no worries, you don't have to do anything, your credit will be coming to you, and it's near £700 worth of credit will be coming to you, not a problem. I thought, that's fine, no problems. I got to Christmas, thought, well, that's 3 months in. What's going on? I gave him a ring. It's okay, sir, don't worry, it's all happening. It's going to take a long time. I've got a lot of customers. And actually, I just thought, yeah, do you know what? I get that. That's fine. And I had some emails from EDF, from Utility Point, telling me that the process was still going on. Please bear with us. There are a lot of people. Absolutely. Phone back again. the day before yesterday, and unfortunately it was the whole computer says no. So what's your address? No, we've not got an account for you. Right, okay, but I was utility point, blah, 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 blah. Explain. No, we can't do anything about it. Can I speak to your supervisor? Well, they'll tell you the same thing. Can I speak to your supervisor? Eventually got through to the supervisor, who then went, yeah, no, we can't do anything about that. Here's utility point's phone number, give him a ring. Okay, no worries. I actually said, took name. That's one tip. Take a name. Whenever you're speaking to customer services, take names, please, because then you can get back to that right person and explain it 500 times. So I phoned that number, disconnected. Doesn't work. So I went back, spoke again, etc., etc. Started to lose the will to live. But no worries. EDF were going to phone me back within 24 hours. That was about 36 hours ago. So that really does my nut in. Do not promise me something you know you are not going to be able to fulfill. It absolutely does my Swede in. You know, I'd rather you manage my expectations rather than just go, yeah, oh, that's our process. 24 hours, within 24 hours, we'll get back to you. Did they? No, they didn't. Still waiting for this call that they're going to tell me what's going on. So yeah, on the old buzzer on two of those occasions.
I'd like to say I've now got a story of completely
joy.
A joy, but I'm going to leave that to you to finish the podcast off, to give our viewers and listeners the absolute hope that there are businesses out there that do. But you know, the bit I find staggering about what you've just said is millions and millions of people will be in your situation at the moment, right? Millions of people have lost their energy supplier because of all of the issues with the gas market. And rather than a business stepping up and going, do you know what, we're going to really set out our stall here and be helpful, they don't really want the clients, because they're and to an extent I get it, because you know, the reality is they're selling gas at a loss, but they weren't saying that when they were making millions and millions of pounds per day, when they weren't making gas at a loss. So I have very, very, very limited sympathy for these gas companies. I have sympathy for the small gas companies who've been trying to drive prices down, and you know, I get that. But you know, look, the same thing exists in some of our national retailers. I blogged last week on LinkedIn about Benson's for beds. We bought a bed from them in early January. The guy was brilliant. The service was superb in the showroom. And I went in, and I'm not going to name the store because the manager is a complete, I can't say what I want to say, not very helpful person. But his staff member was excellent, who sold us the bed. And the reality of life was that we were having some work done in the house. We wanted the bed delivered on the 16th of February. And the reality of that was this. Yes, you can have the bed at the end of January. We don't want the bed at the end of January. No worries, Mr. Huxtable. When would you like the bed delivered? The 16th of February would be fantastic. Yeah, the bed's in stock. You can have it on the 16th of February. Imagine my surprise. 3 days before, on the 4 days before, when they told me that the bed was not in stock and that they were waiting for it to be delivered, and they'd been let down. So I explained to the manager from said store, no, you must have a mistake. You have my bed because you were going to deliver it at the end of January. No, we don't have your bed. There's no mistake. We can't guarantee delivery times. And his attitude, Rich, was just, I can only describe it as verging on, well, no, it wasn't verging on. He was just rude. He was just rude. He was just rude. He wasn't interested in dealing with the issue. I then explained that we didn't have a bed to sleep in because in order for us to make room for the new bed that was arriving, we had to get rid of the old bed. So that was going, and I'd have nothing to sleep on. And his response to that was, well, that's not my fault you sold your old bed, is it?
He's got a point. He's got a point.
He has got a point. But it kind of is his fault, because actually if they said the bed's coming on the 24th, I wouldn't have sold it so early. Yeah, absolutely. So he didn't see my point of view. He thought that I was being adversarial, I think was the word. And I said, no, I'm just expecting to get the product I've just paid you £600 for. That old adage, you know, I pay for something, I normally get it. Yes, He said, look, if you're not happy, my customer service team will ring you, and literally put the phone down. At which point, I'm not genuine, as you know, I'm not genuinely often speechless, but you know, in this particular instance, I was.
We know.
I've got used to it now with KLM. And I thought, okay, the customer service team are going to ring me. Great. They duly did ring me, to be fair to them, and told me exactly the same that the manager told me in the shop. So by this point, I was a little bit hacked off. I probably wasn't as reasonable as I perhaps might normally be.
Yes.
And I stopped the call and I said, look, what I'd like this call to look like is for you firstly to apologise, A, for the rudeness of your manager. I'd then like you to find a solution for me rather than giving me all the excuses about your process, which quite frankly, fine. I really don't give a flying idea about. I would like my bed that I've paid for. And or I'd like something to sleep on in the interim. You know, call me old-fashioned. I like to get to bed at night. To which they said, and this is the killer line. This is the killer line. Listeners, viewers, if you ever hear this, you know never to use a brand like this again. Your customer experience expectations, Mr. Huxtable, are far too high.
By the way, those listening, this isn't a comedy channel. This is reality.
Channel. This is not. This is true. The nose on my face. That is what they said. I was so taken aback by that point. I was again speechless. And after about a minute, I said, "Sorry, can you just repeat what you just said?" I said, "Call me old-fashioned, but you know, handing over £600 and expecting the product to be delivered, I don't think is particularly a high customer expectation." To be honest. So I blogged about it on LinkedIn. I tagged in the managing director.
He must have been back quick as you like, mustn't he? Just
not a Scooby. They're not interested. They've taken my money. I might get it at some point. So at the moment, Rich, I'm about £2,000 down on the deal with
I was going to say
customer experience. But like, all joking aside, right? And there will be others. Look, I've heard lots of other explanations. We're starting a movement on this podcast. Enough is enough.
Yes.
We're starting a movement.
Right on, brother.
If you're not happy with client experience, write to the boss, write to the CEO, complain, find a way to get what you need, and be relentless. Because the reality is, during lockdown, we've been ground down and been ground down and been ground down, and we've been told it's COVID, and we've told all these other excuses. Not anymore. The economy is back open. It is their poor process and procedure that is causing these issues. So, hashtag enough is enough.
I tell you what, it's a great point. So again, listeners out there, so you've been doing this moaning warbly thing. So what are we learning from this? Well, we're learning, and you've just mentioned there, procedures. Yeah, there's two things within customer experience: procedures or process, and people. And clearly, in a number of these examples we've had, you know, sometimes the people bit's been okay. They've might have said sorry. We understand, like I had with my experience with EDF. They did say we understand, but their process has fallen down big style. So if you're looking for an experience that is meeting your customers' expectations, you've got to look at process and people. There's no point just looking one or the other. Let's not just train people up on how to smile and be nice on the telephone if you're letting them down with a rubbish journey and process behind that journey. And likewise, if you've got this fantastic new computer system that will do everything, but you've got the most annoying and deflated person on the end of a telephone, it doesn't matter. As a customer, I'm not going to be engaged. I'm not going to want to interact with you or use you in the future if you've got somebody who's answering the telephone saying, "Yeah, how can I help you today?" So there's two clear areas there that makes a big difference.
It's really depressing. You know, we've been warbling now for about 2 years, haven't we, Rich? And the same issues come back time and time and time again. But Rich, now fill me with some glee. Talk to me about your amazing experience when you were on. You had a first world problem, didn't you? When you were a first world experience when you were away on holiday.
I did, absolutely, and it went rather smoothly, actually. Strangely enough, the flights were there. We booked them and we went. I know, incredible, and it flew and everything. So great experiences, great processes, and great behaviours were seen when we went on holiday to Andorra week before last. So we were going with some family. There's a group of 10 of us all together. So we didn't want anything that was too over the top from a budget point of view, something that was nice and family orientated, where we could sit around, have a nice time, and get out on the slopes nice and easily. We found a gem of a little hotel in Andorra called Hotel Peritol, Peretol. If anybody wants to go and have a look, please do. And actually, we booked it via another party called the Total Chalets. Okay, and they've got chalets in Andorra and they've got chalets in Bulgaria, etc., etc. And this is where the process started to work really well. So I went through Total Chalets and I was communicating with them. But actually, when I got to resort and we got into the hotel, Laura, who owned the hotel and was running the hotel, absolutely superb, knew exactly where we were coming from, who we were, what we were expecting. Because although it was a hotel, it was actually on a chalet board basis, so slightly differently. You know, we're expecting afternoon tea, we're expecting a welcome drink and all that sort of stuff, and that was there. So clearly that communication worked really well. The key thing there as well is that our expectations weren't too high, strangely enough. We were going along, we'd been skiing before, we know what's what, we've got various things sorted, but actually this was a 3-star hotel. The communication was faultless. When I sent an email, I got a response. When I asked about lift tickets, when I asked about ski hire, not a problem. We can sort it out for you. We'll get that sorted. We arrived. Lift tickets waiting for us, as promised. Ski hire shop, 5-minute walk up the road. Lovely people. Knew we were coming. All of that sort of thing. And a 3-star hotel. It was basic in its setup. The food was not 5-star, but the service was absolutely superb. Teams of hotel staff who were coming in, they were working together really well, different nationalities, all headed up by Laura and the team. Said hello to us every morning, smiled to us every time we walked past them, engaged us on a little bit of chat every time. We just made us smile. Bruno was there from South America. He was working out there as well. Bruno, lovely man. Every time we sat down to dinner, 10 of us, hello family. It was, I mean, all of these memories that we started to produce, and we are still talking about it on our WhatsApp group, making the little jokes about what we went through, etc., and the fact that, you know, they were such great people. And do you know what? At the end of the week, we decided we were going to give them a tip, and we gave them a nice sizable tip as a group. Laura said, thank you very much. Within 5 minutes, the whole team of staff was stood round us at our table. And Laura just said, we would just like to say, thank you very much for you being such a great party in our lovely little hotel. It takes 2 sides of a story to make a fantastic experience. And that's the hotel staff and the customers as well. She said, we have thoroughly enjoyed having you here. And that was, hey, you know, I mean, it's a little bit emotional. So it was fantastic. I cannot recommend it highly enough. So it doesn't matter if you are 2-star, 3-star, 5-star. It's about connection and emotion and making a big difference. And as you could probably tell, quite enjoyed that holiday. I quite enjoyed that.
What's really interesting is I've already made a note of the hotel and the company you use, because, you know, we like to get away on a ski holiday. We've done it for years with family, and I'm always looking for great tips, you know, and other people will be thinking, you know, I want great tips to go somewhere hot, or, you know, where do I buy great food from? All those really, you know, all that great stuff is you're going to talk and you're going to tell hundreds of people about that experience.
Absolutely.
Right?
I have
like
done already.
We've just told hundreds and thousands of people about our horrendous experiences. And look, rightly or wrongly, people will vote with their feet. And this is the bit that businesses do not get, right? The conversations I've been having with KLM and Benson for Beds, not only have I had 5,500 views on my Benson for Bed post, and I've had people saying, yeah, I've had something similar, or yeah, I'm going to steer clear of them then. It's such short-sighted idiocy from these businesses that they can't get around. I will never fly with KLM. Fact. I will never put the budget out again. Fact. And I have told people that time and time again. So KLM might be sat there slowly thinking, well, we don't need your business. Well, we'll see, won't we? Because, you know, when you're in the red and you made a loss, and your parent company Air France says you're not standing up for you're not delivering your part of the bargain, we'll see. because unfortunately these things have a real opportunity to come back and bite you on the botty. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. And as a sort of a closing point, the flip side can be said. 2,500 views of the post that I put on about Hotel Perital Laura and her team. I can imagine they're going to be booked up for a long time to come. It's a lovely, lovely place to go. So I would highly recommend that sort of thing. And I think the key thing here is that we, as you can probably tell from our emotional states, if you're listening to this, from a bad experience point of view and a good experience point of view, it is not what you do or what you say to your customers, it's how you make them feel that matters. And that is a famous quote from somebody who I can't remember who it is, but anyway, it's absolutely true. So I think a plea from us is your businesses, you can make a difference there. Map the journey. Is it a process piece? Is it a behavior piece? And how do you want your customers to feel? Critical stuff.
Yeah, it's a really good point. That quote is all about peak end. You know, leave the customer high. And you know, I was training some architects a little bit earlier today, and you know, I work with, and I know you do as well, Rich. We're gonna hear about a great business you know of in Bath that are really focused on the client experience on the next podcast in March. So look out for that when it comes. But one of the things that I think is really sad about this situation is the amount of the British public that are in the situations that you and I have both found ourselves in from a bad, you know, from a bad experience perspective. So remember what we're asking you to do. Don't accept it, okay? Don't get ground down by it. Hashtag enough is enough. Write to the CEO. Be really clear that you're not going to accept this service again, whether you're a B2B, whether you're a B2C. It's time now to put the pandemic behind us. It's time to get back to those good old British values of, you know, service, politeness,
absolutely,
you know, delivering on what you're committed to do. So, so sorry, gang, if you think it's been a bit of a rant-a-thon. It probably has, but I know
you feel better. Do you feel better now?
Please like, share, and do all the things you do on YouTube for us. We'd like to get for more people to hear us rant and also talk about all the good stuff like that amazing hotel in Andorra. So that's it from us this month. It's goodbye from me, Ryan Huxtable.
And goodbye from me, Richard Knight. We'll see you again soon.